What? Never seen anything that remotely looks like that. Generic intro and the deck goes me here, back with another kill count reaction. Today we're doing Suspiria. It's from 1977. Apparently it's a film by like Dario Argento, which is someone I have never heard of. It's an older movie. It's 20 years older than me. A lot of people have been really excited for this one. I'm not really sure. We're also just doing this one just because I think it's going to be a lot different than Ice Cream Man, which Ice Cream Man should be next week, and then Frankenstein should be the week after that, because these are all different franchises, which means they're going to have different viewer bases. For some reason, this video only has 3.6 million views, while all the other ones have several million more, or the Ice Cream Man does, which I've never heard of. I've never heard of this movie ever, but people have been excited for this for quite a while. You can check my reaction to last week's video, which was the Look-See Season 2, where James was actually in that film, and the Sunny Family Cult Season 3. Check out my reaction to kill counts right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also, in a playlist on my channel with all of my other kill count reactions, going in chronological order if you want to binge watch through all of them. I'm really excited to watch this, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen for 1977. But shout out to the patrons, because I couldn't do all these videos if it was not for them. I do read our comments, leave them down below. Really excited to watch this and the next one. And thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers right before the end of the year, and all the people telling me congratulations. Thank you so much. It wouldn't be possible without the people watching these videos and people liking and commenting, and just thank you for being here. But I'm really excited to watch this. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Alright. Also, for the comparisons, I'm not going to say the first part because YouTube might think I'm saying something else.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all
I
our
might do that on
movies.
my new alternate
and
channel.
Today we're looking at Suspiria,
because I want to upload on this channel less.
1977 by master
Suspiria.
of Italian horror Dario Argento. I'm covering this now because of the Kinda remake coming out by Luca Guadagnino, which has a wide release on November 2nd and apparently is pretty divisive, so I can't wait to see it. I'm all about that shit. The original
I've never heard
Suspiria is an absolute classic and has its roots in the giallo subgenre of the 70s.
I don't know what that
horror
is.
and thriller films that have a mystery or crime element to them. They're also usually big on gore and sex, so giallo films are sometimes considered a predecessor to American slasher films. Unlike the giallos that came before it, though, Suspiria dives headfirst into the supernatural and features an almost entirely female cast, two aspects of the movie that may have been influenced by Argento's new wife and Suspiria co-writer Daria Nicolodi.
Dario and Daria
ballet
got married,
played by Jessica Harper, who arrives in Germany to begin her studies at a dance academy. That's all I'll say about it right now, because honestly, I want you to stop this video and go watch the movie if you've never seen it before. It's one of my favorite horror movies, but don't go into it expecting a sensible storyline or a masterful plot. Suspiria
I haven't seen like any of the kill counts
on visuals and sound, and it's a triumph in both.
Like
the bitchin' soundtrack is scored by Italian prog rock band Goblin and is worth the price of admission alone. But then you get to how cool everything looks, and oh man, I mean, look at this dope ass cinematography. And the colors, Duke, the colors! This Italian classic has also got a ton of kick-ass kills to it, so let's get to that.
How many though? But also, who is the villain?
The movie begins with a credit sequence and that amazing theme that I can't include in this video, or else it'll get claimed faster than a new iPhone in the Lost and Found. But just look it up on YouTube if you've never heard it. It's amazing.
Hopefully I don't have to blur
Susie
anything
arrives in a Munich airport and steps out into Nightmare Land with a fanfare,
which is never fun. So they had those airport doors
as the elements
in the 70s,
her, portending the dangers she'll face ahead. She hails a taxi cab and takes a ride through the pounding thunderstorm to see the various colors and flood points of the city. Her cab pulls up to the bright red ballet institute that she'll soon be calling home, Tan's Academy, and on her way to the front door, she sees another girl leaving in a hurry, yelling something that's overpowered by the thunderclaps overhead. Susie's unable to gain admittance right now, so she heads back the way she came, passing the other girl she saw running through the Black Forest. What, not gonna offer her a ride, Suze? The girl, Patricia Hingle, shows up at a friend's apartment building that has an amazing-looking lobby, complete with a stained glass window in the ceiling. Her friend, Sonia, is fine with her staying overnight, even though Pat's unable to explain why she had to flee the academy.
It's useless to try and explain it to you. You wouldn't understand.
Oh yeah,
oh, really?
By the way, all the dialogue in this movie is overdubbed. Apparently, the international cast members all spoke their own various languages while filming, and everything got overdubbed into English in post-production. It can be a little jarring if you're not used to it, but for me, it doesn't detract from the movie at all. Pat is tormented by angry gusts of wind.
So how many different languages
from outside the apartment building
spoken on the set?
But the most frightening thing of all is when she looks outside and sees some eyes in the darkness. Huh, that might just be a Cheshire cat, Pat. I wouldn't worry too much.
So anyway, I started blasting. Okay, the darkness
never mind.
has an
a
arm.
nasty hairy arm grabbing Pat's head and smushing it against the window. As Sonia tries to get help from her neighbors, Pat's head is shoved through the glass window, and then she gets stabbed while, what, out on a balcony? Where the fuck
Where did
is
they?
she
How did
right
they
now?
get out there?
I guess she's in Stab City. Stab City. Because that's what keeps happening to her as she
Rack
flails
City.
around inside
Rack
this
City.
cave. Damn, she like the mayor of Stab Town. Her
Wow.
murderer grabs a cable and ties it around her body, then stabs her a few more times for good measure.
What?
Including, get this, straight through her exposed and beating heart. Wow. That thing's
That's
like
painful.
a pulsating sirloin steak. Pat's death finally comes after her head crashes through the stained glass skylight, which Sonia sees when she gets down to the lobby. We get what's perhaps the movie's most iconic scene when Pat's body crashes through the window, the cable tied around her body coming undone just enough to hang her by the neck with. Trust me, if you were unfamiliar with this movie before, you'll now start to notice the shot of Pat's
it's a
hanging
movie.
body referenced all over the place. And
No,
Pat's death isn't
I've
the only one we get in this
never
sort of cold open.
seen
'Cause down
anything
on the
that
ground,
remotely
right near
looks like
Pat's own
that.
puddle of blood is Sonia's body, killed by the falling beams and shrapnel, with a particularly large
Ooh!
piece of glass bifurcating her face.
That's a
Fuck
thick piece
yeah,
of
Giallo
glass.
movies. The next
Good
day,
Lord.
Susie arrives at the academy and meets an instructor named Miss Tanner, this tiger shark in heels who always looks like she's about to break her own teeth from smiling too hard. Tanner introduces Susie to Madame Blanc, the headmistress of the academy, played by Joan Bennett in her final film role ever. But Madame Blanc is only second in command here. The top dog, the directress of the academy, is unfortunately out of town right now.
How
I offer you
convenient.
our academy's official welcome in the name of our directress, who unfortunately is not here at the moment. She's traveling abroad.
Tough time to be gone. What
Oh.
with Pat's disappearance and these detectives at the school investigating it. But don't get too attached to these dudes. They only have a couple of lines. And after this scene, they're never
seen-
even heard from again.
Yeah.
These cops and their fancy logic don't belong in this nightmare fairy tale. Instead, the academy is
Nightmare
chock full
fairy
of
tale.
creepy
That's a
characters
sentence.
who Susie's gonna have to keep an eye out for. For instance, there's Madame Blanc's creepy little nephew Albert, who looks like he's about to go up a hill to fetch
the
a
roar.
pail of water. And here's Pavlos, a handyman who the staff is not super nice to.
He's
Why
really
not?
ugly, isn't he? Don't be afraid to say so.
Yeah, Italian
Aw.
Jaws, you ain't got no alibi. Get out of here, you ugly fuck. Susie is taken to a locker room
That's
where
not
all the
nice.
other dancers are waiting with judgmental looks. The sultry one, striking an Angelina Jolie pose, is Olga, who it turns out will be Susie's roommate
Olga.
at an apartment downtown. She immediately establishes herself as a mean girl frenemy towards Susie and another dancer, Sarah.
I once read that names which begin with the letter S are the names of snakes.
Nah.
Jeez,
She's
get
sticking
a
out her
room
tongue.
already. Oh wait, you got one. Olga's bitchin' bachelorette pad is dope as hell, and Susie is lucky to be living there. Like, what is that hourglass lamp? It's awesome. Way better than living at the school like some of the other dance students. After a class, Madame Blanc does offer Susie a room at the academy.
Also, like that was
she
like a
can live there
fisheye
as
lens.
well,
They're
but
kinda like
Susie
distorted
politely declines.
on the
Guess it
edges.
wasn't polite enough to avoid the wrath of Miss Tanner, though.
I had no idea you were so strong-willed. I see that when you make up your mind about something, nothing will change it for you.
Personal space, maybe?
My compliments.
But you can't really blame Susie. Who would want to live in this building when you've got weirdos like Albert and his nanny staring
those
you down in
velvet
the hallway and
walls?
flashing sunlight in your eyes? What the fuck, lady? Don't you know Susie's allergic? At least she must be, because after getting Manfred manned by the nanny, she can barely keep herself up during her next class at the academy. I'm not a dancer or anything, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to look like you're doggy paddling through the air. Eventually, she collapses to the ground and some red paint comes out of her nose and lips. Is that candy apple or more of a
Is
fire?
this for like a
red?
seizure?
I don't know. I'm not an artist either. To treat her mysterious illness, the ladies of the academy
Waterboarder?
put her in a room and, well, kind of looks like they're waterboarding her, but I guess they're just trying to make sure she stays hydrated.
You look better already. You've even got color back in your cheeks.
Color in her cheeks? Lady, look around
What?
you. There's freaking color everywhere.
Yeah, this
In
place
any
is
case,
very
Susie's
colorful.
belongings have been moved
Kinda reminds
out
me of the
the
Versace
apartment
mansion
and
a little
into this
bit.
room, so it looks like she's going to be staying at the academy after all, even though she would still prefer to live off campus. Chin up, Susie. The academy's doctor, Professor Vertigast, has a great
What's his
prescription
name?
for you to get better.
A glass of red wine with each meal. It works miracles.
Hell yeah, get shwasted, Suze. Doctor's orders. The good news about Susie's new rooming
Yeah.
arrangement is that she has Sarah as a next-door neighbor. The bad news is that there's something creepy crawly about this place, as she discovers while combing her hair. What's that you just found there, Susie? Oh, it's
Is
a
it
maggot.
spi-
Maybe
oh,
it's just the one.
I find
though.
spi-
I'm
I
sure
found
there's nothing
two
to-
spiders
no,
in there.
your
This
comb
was
is
years
fucking
ago.
full
Oh,
of them. Pretty
oh,
gross.
that's
Where are these
disgusting.
things coming from? Son of a bitch, all these dancing pupils are
What was
getting
that
covered in
score?
pupa. Miss Tanner heads into the attic to see where these baby bugs are coming from, and amidst
Is it
the
a corpse?
sea of blue light, she
It's gonna be
finds
a
the
corpse.
source of infestation. A wooden crate that she opens to find a bunch of, I don't know, what is that, meat? Is that a meat crate? Yeah, zoom in on the maggoty meat crate. That's a real fun shot. God, maggots are gross. Madame Blanc tells the girls that they must have gotten a delivery of spoiled food, and since the storm of maggots has rained down into all of the student rooms, they're gonna have to have a fucking slumber party. Oh man, it's like when your
With the
high school
white
did a
curtains.
lock-in and you got to sleep in the school gym. Could I get a hand check here? Madame Blanc wishes all the
did
girls
not
good night, and the
have-
instructors
we were
leave,
not
turning off
allowed
the
to
lights
do
so everyone
anything
can
like
watch
that.
a red-tinted puppet show. God damn, the colors in this movie are pretty. Nighttime gives way to crazy wide camera angles that bend the edges of the shot and make everything look weird, which
Why-
goes along
why do
nicely
only
with
some of
all
them
the
have
crazy
chairs?
weird whispers on the soundtrack. Against this backdrop, a striking figure takes her place in bed behind where Susie and Sarah are lying. The mysterious person begins to snore very loudly, which awakens Sarah from her slumber. She wakes up Susie, and they come to the conclusion that their sleep apnea-afflicted friend back there must be the directress of the academy. The staff was lying about her being out of town. Sarah can tell it's the directress from her snoring, which she had heard previously in another weird experience. She tells Susie all of this in a very intimate close-up.
So I know she's the directress. She's there.
Okay.
Behind that.
Why should this
The
be
next
scary?
morning, the Academy's pianist
They shouldn't be
Daniel
scary.
shows up for another average day of tickling them keys. Daniel is blind and thus has a seeing eye dog that he leaves tied up outside the school while he's at work. But today, Albert and his nanny are approaching the dog in a really strange way. And
Why?
after the camera cuts
Do
inside,
not
we hear
leave
the
the dog
snarling
alone.
and Albert screaming his little Aryan head off. Miss Tanner interrupts a very jumpy dance session to yell at Daniel, telling him that his dog bit a big old chunk out of poor little Albert. Daniel is incensed at the accusation that his pup is not a good boy, and Tanner tosses
good
him and
boy.
his cane out of the academy. It's definitely humiliating for the poor dude, but at least he doesn't have to see Miss Tanner's creepy smile.
Get out! Get out of here! Good
Dude, imagine being blind,
Apparently
not being able to
Susie
see
is
all the
still on that
colors
wine
and
no
the architecture
calories
of this
diet,
place.
which is why she's suburban mom drunk that night when Sarah stays over with her and tries to listen to the traffic patterns of the instructors in the hallway to figure out where they go every
What do
night
you-
after supper.
I don't think they're leaving the school.
What? What did you say?
Yeah, I don't know either, Sarah. That was more slurry than a Mark Twain novel. Before Susie
There's
can
a box
clarify
full of
anything, though, she passes
maggots
out like
behind
a
him.
fucking freshman. Learn to hold your wine, girl. Yo, you know who could drink Susie under the table? These leader bros in having a tabletop group dance in a bar that Daniel's chilling at. It's the
Dude, I
bar
wanna
to
go to
head home
Germany.
with his faithful dog leading the way, but as soon as that
Oh,
kick-ass
no.
goblin theme starts playing, you know something spooky gonna happen. It's another sequence made unforgettable by the striking
That's so
imagery
cool.
and how straight up bizarre it is. Daniel and his dog walk into the middle of this giant public space, which in real life is Königspacht Square, a place in Munich where Nazis held rallies and book burnings. Makes sense.
Oh.
This place definitely has that severe Nazi aesthetic going on.
Yeah,
Daniel's
I
dog
would
starts going
believe
nuts,
that.
and he begins to suspect that someone is around them, even though we can see that he's all by himself in the middle of this big
Also,
open
does he
space.
not-
He should be
is
plenty
he supposed
safe.
to
But
be
then
there?
there are some push-ins on a gargoyle statue and a swooping POV shot with fluttering sound effects. Some shadows
be
cast
the
on one of the buildings
gargoyle
there
being
almost begins to look
alive?
like a pack of witches on broomsticks. But we never see anything tangible before Daniel's dog suddenly attacks him out of nowhere.
Oh!
He knocks him to the ground and tears his throat out. The
Not
only
a good
witnesses
boy.
to react these two imposing buildings. We get more red paint looking blood coming out of Daniel's mouth, but if you want more than that, here you go. There's some real gross meaty stuff that the dog tears from his face just
Why?
off screen. The kill only ends when a couple of police officers rush to the crime scene and chase the dog away. That's a bad dog, right? Susie
Yeah,
meets
I
with
think.
Madame
What
Blanc because
happened?
she's weirded out by all the deaths going on, and she tells the headmistress that when she saw Pat Hingle in the rain that night, she heard her say 2 words on her way out the door.
Secret and irises.
Madame Blanc says she'll let the police know, but I wouldn't trust her. Susie.
yeah, I
Ever
wouldn't
since
trust
we got
that.
here, she's been casting dark shadows all over the place. Sarah gets upset at Susie for talking to Madame Blanc because I guess she was Pat's friend and doesn't want to be placed under suspicion. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just sitting here wondering why Susie's going swimming in a t-shirt. What, you ain't got no swimsuit, girl?
That's
the story
possible.
gets away from me even further when Sarah says that she has notes that Pat left her and that she'll share them with Susie that night. But night comes and
And
Susie's
not
white
gonna
girl
get that
wasted
chance.
again. And even worse, the notes are missing from Sarah's room. Apparently someone stole them from her, and I'm still not entirely sure what those notes are all about, but at least this scene gives us our first outright indication of what's really going on.
What is...
See, do you know anything about witches?
With that, Susie's
Wait, is
down
it
and out.
actually
so Sarah
witchcraft?
is left on her own to investigate the footsteps
What?
and chattering she hears in the hallways outside their room. After everything turns a wicked witch green, Sarah goes into the
Is this,
restrooms and
like, gonna
hallways
be,
and
like-
winds up climbing into the attic, which is
like a
blue
fairy
sort of
tale-
blue. All three primary
horror
colors
fairy
of light
tale?
in a matter of minutes. Good work, Argento. She gets
Like,
attacked by a
remake of
switchblade
something?
and ends up
Oh,
crashing
well.
through a couple of candy glass windows before taking refuge behind a door that she latches shut. But when her assailant goes to lift the latch up with her blade, Susie backs away in horror and cowers
Why?
into a crumple.
Just
the only way
don't
out of
allow
this
them
room
to-
seems to be through a small box window at the top of the wall. So as her attacker continues trying to get in, come on, it
How are
shouldn't
they
be that hard
struggling?
for you.
Yeah, it's
pretty
not.
damn simple. Sarah climbs a tower of suitcases and fits her way through the window. She ends up in a weird small room with a door right in front of her,
designed
but when
this?
she hops down a ledge to get to it, she ends up entangled in a bunch of razor wire.
Oh,
shit.
dude, razor
So,
wires.
eats her beating heart out. Sarah tries to reach the door, but she only gets deeper and deeper enmeshed within the wire. Now, granted, the close-ups here show that this wire has no razors or barbs to speak of,
But
maybe
use
that's
your
why
imagination.
her attacker shows up to finish the job himself with a razor blade across the throat. R.I.P. Sarah.
Oh.
Susie wakes up and looks for
That's
her
a
friend. and
terrible
have Miss
way.
Tanner tell her that Sarah left the academy that morning. Susie don't
Oh,
buy
really?
that shit, so she goes to meet with this dude Frank Mendel, a friend of Sarah's that she had mentioned during their secret Whisper swim times. As he wears the hell out of that dope green blazer, he tells Susie what Sarah had been talking to
Yeah,
him about before
pretty
her
dope.
disappearance.
She had discovered that the Tam Academy was founded in 1895 by a certain Helena Marcos, a Greek immigrant, and that the local people believed her to be a witch.
Apparently, this Marcos lady, alias the Black Queen, kept getting kicked out of European countries before settling down in Munich and founding the Tanz Academy. She died in a fire in 1905, and
No,
that's
she didn't.
about it. This scene is mostly just for exposition, and for Dario Argento to get some wicked cool shots around the BMW headquarters building. Before she
Oh,
leaves,
really?
though,
BMW
Susie's introduced
headquarters?
to a local witchologist, Professor Milius, who tells her all about covens, saying that if one is deprived of its leader, it becomes like a snake without a head. You know, something you can tread on. That night, full of witching suspicion, Susie takes her usual dinner into the bathroom and flushes it all down the toilet, then spills the wine into the sink where it leaves a bright, stubborn residue. She once again hears
Yes,
footsteps
red
coming
wine
from
will
the
stain
hallways, but
anything.
since she isn't all wined up tonight, she's able to count what she hears in order to figure out where the instructors are all going. She creeps through the colorful hallways, counting steps like a marching band member, until she ends up in a chic little boudoir that at first appears to be a dead end.
can
But after
hear
a
the
closer look at
footsteps
her
that far
surroundings
away.
and the wallflowers over there, Susie remembers what Pat Hingle had been saying
The
when
colors?
she saw her in the rain, lit up by the taxi's one headlight.
The secret! I saw behind the door! 3 irises! Turn the blue one!
So Susie does what the poorly dubbed
Wait, you
lady
had to push the
suggested
three-
and turns the blue flower
Oh,
on the
turn-
wall, which
okay.
gains her access to a secret door. Talk about
kinda cool.
flower power. Through that door and behind some blue velvet curtains, Susie ventures deeper and deeper into the Academy's secret passageways. She eventually comes across a clandestine meeting where Madame Blanc is telling everyone around her that they need to make Susie disappear.
Why?
Vanish. She must die. Die.
Dude, the music as
Oh,
well.
it's okay, Susie. I'm sure she didn't mean it. Then again, she does take a drink of something and starts screaming out a spell. Susie has a reaction to it that little fucker Albert notices, so it looks like the secret spy mission is about to be blown. On her way back out, though, she comes across the body of her dearest Sarah, with pins in her eyes and her wrists nailed down. She leaves the hallway through another door that lands her in a room with a colorful peacock light and the world's loudest snorer sleeping behind a curtain over there. Susie accidentally
gonna be
knocks
the
over
founder.
the bird with the crystal plume, and the resulting crash wakes up the terrifying directress of Tanz.
Who is it? Who's there?
Oh.
I've been expecting you.
How can you
the
see?
American girl.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude,
wow.
Helena Marcos is freaking scary, man, and she laughs as Susie picks up a piece of that broken bird to use as a weapon. Her taunting only grows worse
This is
after
not-
Susie
what's
goes
actually
to
gonna
attack the
be?
head witch in charge and finds nothing in her place.
You wanted to kill me.
Are you
You
invisible?
wanted to kill me. What are you going to do now, huh?
Helena's disembodied voice keeps mocking Susie as random
What?
things
What?
start to explode throughout the room. Then Susie's night gets a whole lot worse because out from behind this door comes an undead Sarah. giggling
What?
With mindless rage as blood flows from her
Is that
mouth.
what
Susie
part
is
of the
shocked,
curse was?
but in a flash of light,
No,
she
it
sees
must
an
be-
outline
can't be
of Helena
real.
Marcos sitting on the bed. She stabs at the invisible figure and the hit lands. Marcos begins to appear in all her decrepit glory as the
Oh.
undead Sarah fades away in a video dissolve. The now embodied Helena Marcos, who is all sorts of nasty, starts grabbing at Susie, but
She
it's
had
too
a
late for the old
potion of
Susie
invisibility
drives the stiletto
that went away when
straight
she
through
got hurt.
Helena's neck, killing the Black Queen of Tanz Academy and adding another body body to our humble kill count. Things start going crazy in the room, so Susie retreats out into the hallway.
So the building got angry?
To see a room full of suffering, and I'll go ahead and count the 4 people we see in there as dead. Madame Blanc, Miss Tanner, a random woman in the background, and especially Pavlos, because he is all sorts of bloody.
Yeah,
Stuff
he's not
continues
having
to
a good time.
spontaneously
What about the
combust
kid?
as Susie backtracks through the Academy's passageways. She
Why is
finally
everything
makes
just
it
exploding?
outside, straight into another thunderstorm, and leaves behind the building that's now burning on the inside.
Does it rain that much in
The movie
Germany?
ends with Susie
Herman.
smiling at her successful escape and a window exploding from the fire, as the score from Goblin merges with the screams of the burning witches inside. How many kills did we wind up with in our first European film on the kill count? Let's find out
really?
and get to the numbers.
But
oh, I got a mic. I have a mic cable here. Never mind. No
Can't
spin.
do that, yeah.
No spin.
What?
9 people died in Suspiria,
Really?
at least as far as we could tell from what we saw.
That's really
and
dope
of those
shirt.
deaths, 7 were women, while only 2 were men, giving us an uncommon pie chart that's more than 3/4 ladies.
Yeah,
With
I don't know if
runtime
we've
of
had a
99
ratio like
minutes,
that.
We wound up with a kill on average every 11 minutes.
Wow, that's
I'll
easy.
give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Pat Hingle. Even if you take away the crazy
Just
shot of her
multiple stab.
exposed heart getting stabbed,
I don't
her
know what
body
the-
crashing through the stained glass
Oh,
window
yeah,
is the
that.
image most associated with this film, and for good reason.
I've
It's
never
freaking
heard of this
incredible.
film.
Dol Machete for lamest kill will go to the Academy staff that whipped around against a wind machine and eventually burned to death off screen, which is burning to death. Give me something I haven't seen before. And that's it.
don't know
Suspiria
if
came
I've
out in
actually seen that.
1977 and is a classic of the horror genre. I don't know if the new one lives up to its reputation because
I don't know,
haven't
did it?
seen it yet, but I'm sure I will, and yes, I'm sure I'll cover it on the series eventually.
Okay,
But until
well,
then, I'm
then
James
that'll
Hayes.
happen at some point in
This
the
has been
future. I'm
Kill
not
Count.
sure
Thanks
when,
a lot for watching
because
the
it has to
latest
wait
Kill
till
Count. I want
Blu-ray.
to thank a couple of patrons
Next
like
week will
Brett
be
St.
Ice Cream
Pierre,
Man.
Joe Croft, Brian Matthew Warriger, and Kobe Glavine. People always like to ask
And like I
what
said,
my
I might
second
do the
favorite horror movie
comparisons
after the thing
between
is. Right now, it's
director's
Suspiria. You guys
cuts
like
and
my creative meat
theatrical
back here? It's, that's white
on,
rice as
Ultimate
maggots
Channel.
and meat as meat.
It's the duck goes
Oh,
to.
it's not cooked rice, you good people.
Nope. Cancel. Yeah, that was Halloween too. But this was Suspiria. Next week's going to be Ice Cream Man. Never heard of that one, but this movie was cool. I mean, I really liked the colors that they had showing, and I seriously did not know what the twist was going to be. Like, there was just people dying and disappearing and stuff, and a very mysterious school, and apparently has witches involved. And there was the founder was invisible. I guess she like faked her death, or maybe she was burned, and that's why she kind of hid herself, because she was so like she looked like that. Maybe she didn't always look like that. Maybe she was like beautiful once upon a time, and then like the fire happened, and then she's like, well, I'm gonna hide myself. So maybe that could have been what happened. But yeah, this was quite interesting. Next week's gonna be Ice Cream Man, and then we're gonna have Frankenstein, of course, movies I've never seen. I actually have seen The Evil Dead though, so we'll do those two in the same video. Army of Darkness. What is going on with his face? Lots of stuff coming in the future. I hope that you're subscribed. I hope you're having a wonderful 2025. And shout out to the patrons, because I could not do this if it was not for them. But until the next video, take care and kitty music.